In this video, we are going to cover creating an offset in the field. This could be a control point that is in the field and you were given dimensions from grid to locate that, and or this could be a layout point that you needed to place in the field that was not in your model. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and go in sketching. After you go to sketching, we are going to go right down here to the bottom, and we're going to select our sketching functions, and we're going to go to point creation. After that, we're going to go into the toolbox, and we're going to go to intersection. And what this is going to allow us to do is to zoom in to wherever our grid lines are, which we know we have grid line 2 down here. That is one of our grid lines we needed to place the dimensions from. So we're going to go ahead and select here. It's going to pull up closest element, so it's always going to be the one at the top that was closest to where you selected, and that highlights it blue. In this model, the grid lines on the bottom don't have labels. They're all at the top. So what I do is I hold down the minus and I just zoom out, and I know that I'm going to 2 and B. So then I can just come right up here and zoom into B, as you can see here. And I am moving the screen back to center, but you'll kind of get that feel on your screen what you need to do. But then we're going to go ahead and select B, and once again, we're going to highlight it there. Now, if I hold down this minus, it's going to zoom out and it'll show us what we've created here. It's the actual intersection. So it's putting a green check mark there. Over here, yours probably says code. So if you tap here, you could go to tools and hit the green plus, and you could add a new one. So here, the name you would type in, if you're trying to set a control point or place something for grid, in this particular case, that's what I would call it, I would call it grid. So you'll just type in grid and select this green X because it's an intersection, and then you'll end up with this icon right here once you hit that check mark on the bottom right. So grid is what this is, so I'm going to put that there, and it's going to highlight over here on the right. Sometimes this is highlighted on. If this is highlighted green, it's going to draw a line from this blue line to this basically and trace your layout information you use to create that intersection. So what we want to do is just unselect that if it is selected. And then once you've done that, you can just go ahead and hit the check mark, and it's going to generate that point right at the intersection, which is perfect. Now we have one up here at G4 and B as well that we needed to generate in the field. So we're going to go ahead and just come over here and just tap in, and we are at G4, and we're going to go back to our tools, select our intersection, select G4, grab that, and then we're going to just tap up once, and because we're really close, we can just tap up and move in and grab B like so, and it is grid, so we're going to hit check mark on that. Now we have our points in the model that we needed because we had dimensions from both of these grid lines. Next thing we're going to do is come back into our sketching functions, and we're going to come up here to points and lines. It's pre-highlighted here all of a sudden. We can go to toolbox. It might be selected somewhere else in the model, but once you go to toolbox, you'll hit start point, and we are going to start right here. Sometimes your models are slightly rotated. So this model, I believe, is north-south, but we're not going to take a chance at it. We're going to just verify that, and the software will actually tell us if it is north-south or not. So the next function you're going to do is you're going to go into the toolbox, and you're going to say rotation point. We have the one point that we selected first, and now our rotation point is going to be number 16 here. So once we select that, it actually says that it's 180 degrees south. So we know that this drawing is going north-south, but yours might have an angle in there, okay? That's important to do just because if you have a slight angle, this will calc that angle into our movement and adjust the pinwheel. It'll rotate it. So right now we have 0 on our alignment, so we're just going to hit check mark. And then here it's showing that it's going to leave a line behind. It's saying it's going to store whatever we store it as grid. I'm going to change that from grid to no codes. And then from there, we have a distance here of 60 1.8 1.5 inches. And if it says 1.5 inches, you can just do 68 foot 1 inch 1/2, check mark it in, and it will save that in there. And then that pinwheel is facing it south right now, but we're actually going to the west, so that's going to put it right out there, which looks correct. And then we're going to go ahead and hit check mark. And then now we need to go up 102 feet 3 inches. So what I was going to show you earlier was this was it. We entered in feet and inches. You would obviously follow that same path, 102 foot 3 inches, and you could just hit the check mark. But if yours is in decimal feet, I do want you to know that you can just type in exactly what it says. So 102.25, and that will convert for you automatically. So don't worry about that. Just type it in exactly how you have it. And then it's due north, so I'm going to go ahead and select up. And then this is not going to be a blank code. This is actually going to be the control point. So I'm going to grab that, and this was a general contractor control point. So here, if this was not a control point for you, this could have been a sleeve or whatever. You would just go right down here and change the description to match whatever that was. So you'd go to your toolbox, new, type in the name of, if it was a footing or a sleeve or an anchor bolt or anything like that, you would type in whatever that was, and then make sure you hit that check mark at the bottom. Because ours is a control point, I'm going to select that, and then once I do that, I just hit the check mark, and now that is in the model. The great thing about this software is it's actually leaving behind those dimensions there for you, so you can verify that you actually did it correctly. Okay. With that being said, when you go home and you go into your layout points to start laying out, the dimensions go away, but the line work stays there. If you don't want to see that line work and you're satisfied with your dimensions and where you went, you could go to Toolbox in any menu and go to Delete, and you could select that middle point, and it will erase the line from the middle, from there to the end, and from there to the end. That grid intersection point there I might use in the future, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it there. But if I wanted to hit check mark, it's now removed out of the model, and I just have my point that I needed to create. So that should cover you on how to create the points. We'll go ahead and do one more just to make sure you feel comfortable with it. We're going to go home, sketching. We're going to go from that point, the distance we need to go of 82 foot 8 inch 1/4, because that's our dimension, and that is off to the side. And we will change our description into no codes, select that check mark in, and then we're going to go south 105 foot 6 inch, check mark it in, and it is going south. And we are going to then change our code to control point and check mark it in. So now that is left. We can go right immediately, because we like our dimensions. We can go to Tools and Delete and select that one point and hit Delete. So now we have our new control points added.